Welcome to the Wannabe Artist podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Justin Choi, and who do I have with me?
Joshua Choi.
And we are two brothers,
Yep.
aspiring artists, hence the title. This is our very first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I think the best way to start this off would just be introducing ourselves a little bit, talk about, our artist experience.
Okay.
So how about you do the honors and get us
You
started
want me
here?
to start?
Yeah, you're starting.
All right.
You're younger. He's the baby boy here.
Okay. So my name's Josh. I'm a 17-year-old musician slash music nerd, sorta.
Gross.
Okay. The music I'm kind of into is a lot of like 90s and 2000s alt rock, but I mean, I like everything, like any genre, as long as it's like good.
As long as it's
As long
good.
as it's good. And when it comes to my own artistry, I mean, I love music. I've been playing piano since I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I've just recently picked up guitar. And I also like try to sing, which is fun. Well, I'm also into movies too.
Great presentation.
Okay.
My name is Justin Choi, and I'm 19 years old. I am currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in film and media studies at an undisclosed school. Like Joshua, I have my own art form. It's been film. Like I've been into film pretty much my entire life. It was only till the latter half of high school that I definitely started taking it more seriously and getting into filmmaking and creating and criticism, which I'm pursuing right now. I've always been a very critical mind, I'd say. Just the way I consume art, I like to think about things, dissect them, and like understand why the art impacts us and like what specifically it does for us emotionally. So yeah, that's me, I guess.
Damn, that was way
Huh?
better than me.
Oh, it was off the dome. I wasn't even trying.
Bro, I had notes and everything. I was literally just like reading off stuff I wrote.
So I guess
Okay.
I guess we can tell who's got more, as they say, aura.
Okay.
Aura,
Okay,
aura on the podcast. I don't know. I
You
just learned
sound
that
like
word.
such a boomer.
I'm not a
Aura.
boomer. I think
What
I.
is this aura
Wait,
you youngins speak about? That's what you sound like.
I think I said my age, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm 19, about to be 20.
In 2 days.
Yeah. So we 2 days. There's not much of an age gap between us, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's us. So yeah, the podcast, I'd like for it to be as unfiltered as possible. Obviously, artists, we're going to be talking about our fields, film, music, we're going to be talking about it all. We're going to talk about the culture, what's popping in the media. I hate that I just said that, but it's okay. Recent releases, we'll go back on older ones and we'll talk about just kind of what's going on. But what I thought we could start with in this episode is a segment where we talk about some of our favorites from the past year. So 2023. I know we're a little late to the game, but better late than never, which is I guess what we're gonna call this segment because there's a lot of stuff we have to catch up on.
Yeah.
But so yeah. So we'll catch you in this next segment. And we're back.
Yeah.
We're back for our 2023 segment where we're gonna kind of round off our favorites from the past year. We're gonna start with our top 5 favorite films from 2023.
Ooh. Nice.
And I guess we'll just bounce back and forth. But
Okay.
when I was looking over both of our letterbox list, I was like, holy shit, we have a nearly identical list. So I think
We just have good taste.
we just have the best taste in the world. But I just think there's going to be a lot of bouncing back and forth and just us kind of praising the same thing. And I hope to have more diverse opinions in the future, but you know what? It's just how it worked out. So let's get this started. Both of our number 5s, we have May December from director Todd Haynes. This was a Netflix film that came out in December, I believe.
Was it December?
It was December.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember watching it at the end of my semester. I mean, I guess we can both kind of talk about this, but
Yeah.
I thought this was one of the best releases from this past or last.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's on my list. Yeah. From last year, I think it's so smart, subtle, and just impactful. in its execution and what it's attempting to do. Its angle on just performance is just so meta and like self-aware.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you talk.
I mean, no,
What do
I
you have
mean,
to
I
say?
agree with what you're saying completely. I think the subtlety of the movie is like a really captivating aspect because, I mean, like, I guess like story wise, like not a lot happens. Like it's kind of just like a glimpse into like these two people's lives
Yeah.
through the perspective of Natalie Portman's character. You kind
Mhm.
of just go in, you just see a little bit, and then she's gone, and she's like,
Yeah,
like
I
going,
really like that angle where it's like you have this insight that you're viewing from Natalie Portman just into their lives, like this
yeah,
family that started off. Oh, like light spoilers for all the
oh
things we're going to
yeah,
talk about, by the way. This like controversial, kind of touchy subject of a relationship that started years ago between a
yeah,
student and I believe it's his boss in the pet shop, right?
yeah. I
Yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
no,
It's
no, no, no. Isn't it? It's a student and teacher, but then he worked at the pet shop, and they would like
yeah, yeah,
hook up there. Okay,
yeah. We're so prepared. Anyway,
it's been a while
it's been a while.
since we've seen these,
We
but
could have definitely looked it over a little bit better, but whatever. It's a podcast.
yeah.
We're just two little boys. Anyway, yeah, two of the best performances of last year: Natalie Portman,
Oh yeah,
Julianne
Julianne
Moore, like
Moore.
career defining. I think it's definitely up there
Yeah,
in their catalogs. Yeah, it handles all these touchy subjects well. Whereas so many other movies, it comes off as not genuine. But this one, there's like care from the writer, the director,
yeah.
everyone working on it just feels like they want to tell the story
The
respectfully.
best way they
Yeah,
can. Like
and
it
all
doesn't feel like it sort of just feels like very like meticulously crafted to be representative of this sort of topic in
yeah,
like the best way possible. Like as you said.
yeah, and then Charles Melton too.
Oh yeah.
Damn, supporting performance. Didn't know he had it in him, and he
I
really broke
mean,
through with this one.
yeah. I haven't seen Riverdale, but I can only imagine
I
what he's
have
like in
seen
it.
some of him in Riverdale, and for what he's given, he does his job. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's nothing.
But
It's not this. It's not on
he's
this
doing
level.
real acting now. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the best screenplays, musical scores from this
Oh
year.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
musical
I
scores.
was
Holy.
wanted to touch on. I think the score was really, really well done. It feels sort of like cheap, like soap opera. Like that's kind of the vibe I get from
Yeah.
it. But I think that adds to its very sort of like unsettling nature because it's a film that's tackling such like a dark, like
Mhm.
serious subject, but then it has this like really like
Playful tone.
yeah, like
Yeah.
playful tone and like over dramatic pianos like that are coming in just at like almost like random times or like
Yeah.
really like in a really like melodramatic way. But yeah, I think that was a really like interesting sort of contrast.
Mhm.
And also the whole I don't even know how to describe this. Like the color of the movie is like very like bright, like
Yeah, yeah.
pinkish, like pastels. I
Mhm.
thought that also adds a lot to like the contrast of like the sort of darkness going on with the characters.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And just one last thing, absolutely snubbed at the Oscars.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the award shows don't matter, but like, in the grand scheme of the industry it does. Like only
Yeah.
nominated for screenplay. I'm glad that I got that award, but really
It could have had
did
gotten
so
more.
much
Yeah.
more. Okay.
Okay, wait. One more thing. I think that this is Natalie Portman's best
You
performance.
do? Okay.
Yeah. I just felt like with this movie, like she had this sort of like command over her character
Mhm.
that like she definitely had in like movies like Black Swan or like Annihilation.
Yeah.
But I feel like in those movies, her performance wasn't really like, at least to me, like the standout
Mhm.
of those films. But like with this, like I feel like I'm not gonna say she's like coming into her own because obviously like she's given like amazing performances and she's had like a long
Yeah,
successful
newcomer
career.
Natalie Portman in the
Okay,
industry.
well I'm just saying like I felt like this performance really stood out to me when it
Yeah.
came to her.
Yeah,
But
definitely
yeah.
one of the best from last year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to
Past lives.
past lives. So another one, both on our list.
Mhm.
This is Joshua's number 4.
Yep.
Past lives. Do you want to get this started? Or do you want me to start?
I think you should start. Wait, where did this place on your list?
So this is at number 3 on my list.
Okay.
So yeah, we're kind of flip flopping the order,
Just so we
but
can
I'm
like,
yeah,
just so we're not like talking about one thing and then moving
I
on to
want to.
something and then going back.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll be able to understand if you have a brain. You'll be able to understand. Anyway, past lives. I thought one of the most impressive just first features, Celine's song.
Mm-hmm.
I know she's had a. This is so bad. She was talking at my school, and I am struggling to remember. But she had a theater background, and she did a lot of just like independent projects.
Yeah.
But just this one was wow, like so professional, just well realized in every aspect, like the characters, the script, music, shot composition, everything. It does not feel like a first time featured director.
Yeah. No, no, I mean, I agree, yeah.
A lot to say
I
on this one, huh?
expose me. I mean, no, I agree. This definitely I mean, I didn't even know that this was her first feature. This definitely didn't feel like it.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanna keep talking about this.
I know, yeah, we
I
should
think
just
it's a very unlike May December, it's a very simple premise, but I think
mhm,
it
character
balance
driven.
yeah, it's a character piece, but it balances this kind of first lost love story so well with this almost like cosmic, otherworldly concept of course, it's a Korean film,
Mhm,
and so much about it is their heritage and, like, coming back to this. Inyeon, which is this connection that you form by just I don't know, having a small interaction with someone and then it offsetting like layers of this connection that you have with someone.
mhm.
I thought that was very well done.
It was so well integrated because,
Yeah.
I feel like they explain it. It's sort of how do I word this? Like, it's sort of like you feel the presence of it, like,
Yeah.
develop as the story develops.
It's like brief enough for the audience to understand, but also it's not like
It's not, like,
through it's
shoved down your
yeah, it's not
throat. Like, it's
shoved.
not,
Yeah.
like, trying to be like, "This is the message." Like,
Yeah.
it's
It's simple.
mhm,
I think I have to talk about I watched this after my first trip coming straight off the plane from Korea.
mhm.
So I think definitely watching it at that time, it struck the right chord with
Yeah,
me.
definitely in the
And
mood for it.
yeah, yeah. And just upon rewatches, it connects with me more and more. And I think as I grow up, it's just gonna be something that I connect with. And as I experience more and most likely go through more heartbreaks,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll feel more connected to past lives. But otherwise, great performances. Greta Lee, she's awesome. I love her.
Oh, yeah. That was
And I'm looking forward to Celine Song's next feature with A24, which is a rom-com
mhm.
starring Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans, and someone who we will talk about shortly, Dakota
Oh,
Johnson.
I did not know that. Okay.
Well, now you know.
Definitely excited for that one.
Alrighty. And so we're gonna move on to the next one is my number 4,
Mhm.
which is Sick of Myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I probably should have wrote this down earlier. The director.
Director's name. Impossible to
Huh?
pronounce.
Christopher Bourgeli. I think that
Okay.
was pretty
That was
good.
good, that was
I
good.
think that was
Yeah.
good. This is his second feature, I believe, after Drib, which I have not seen.
Yeah. I
Looks
have
very
not
interesting
either.
though.
Yeah.
But Sick of Myself was great. Another awesome character study movie of an absolute asshole.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, this is about a toxic relationship between Signe and Thomas and
Tomas.
yeah, oh, Tomas. Tomas's
Uh-huh.
breakthrough as a contemporary artist, and Signe is just the most jealous, self-centered person, and she's
Mhm.
trying to take that spotlight away.
Yeah.
Obviously, you like this one too. It's not on
Yeah.
your list, but you
But,
like this
I
one
mean,
too.
it was almost on
Yeah.
my list, like, literally one spot
Yeah.
away, but, yeah. I thought this one was a very harrowing watch because I feel like
Ooh.
I mean, big words, I know. I don't know, just seeing her sorta, like, downfall it was very dark, but also, like, it felt, like, nihilistic in a way, sort of
Yeah.
like it was dark in a sorta, like, sarcastic way, like
Mhm.
someone making, like, a really messed up joke, and I think that's just his style too, because in, his other film, Dream Scenario, you get definitely feel that sorta, like, nihilistic feel
Mhm.
of just, like, someone just, like, breaking down completely,
Mhm.
but you're kinda laughing at it,
Yeah,
while at the same time
I think
being
Mr.
horrified.
Bourgeli
Uh-huh.
has a very good understanding of setting a narrative with these very at times unlikable
Mhm.
and complex characters, but
Yeah.
finding an angle where you can sympathize with them even when they're being just so unreasonable and
Yeah.
unbearable because my god, this character
I know.
is insufferable for pretty much all of the movie. The
Yeah.
first third act, I'd say she's the most unbearable, and
Mhm.
then this film quickly evolves into, like, a very
Yeah,
disgusting,
gross, like,
grotesque, like, body
body horror,
horror,
yeah,
and it's,
and
like, so unexpected, but, like, it fits so well with the narrative,
yeah.
and, like, seeing her just, like, fall apart both, like, mentally and physically is beautiful and adds so much, and, of course, it doesn't make her any more likable as a person,
Mhm,
like,
but
she tries to capitalize off of this.
yeah.
And I think that's just one of the smartest things that it does. It's so timely in this like 2020s climate of like ever growing like clout chasing and
Yeah.
this like desperation and like validation that so many like just sad people seek. I
I
think that's really
mean,
funny.
I don't even think it's just sad people, because I think what I really liked about this movie is that it touches on a lot of sort of emotions that you can kind of relate to in a way. Obviously,
Yeah.
like not to the degree that the main character is feeling it, like
Mhm.
but like just the feeling of like wanting to be important in this world.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a really interesting sort of feeling that was captured in this movie.
Mhm.
And I think that's what makes her journey easy, not easy to follow, but sort of not really rooting for her, but you're not like completely turned off by watching her because
Yeah.
she's so unlikable. Because she's unlikable in a way that I think many people can slightly see in themselves. Like
Yeah.
it feels like sort of like like critical of just like human nature in general.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, yeah, a lot of us don't wanna admit that, but yeah, there is a lot of Signe in ourselves,
Yeah.
and I think that that's one of the things that it does best is
I mean,
realizing
yeah.
that we all have some kind of gross, like, want for validation, and it's okay to embrace it as long as it's not literally this toxic
Yeah.
and hurting other
And
people.
destroying yourself
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, and where it makes people utterly sick of you.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, dude, I killed that transition,
Good
bro.
shit.
Yeah, alright, so moving on, we have your
My
okay, so that was my number 4. My number 3 was Past Lives, which we just went over.
yeah.
Your number 3 and my number 2, I know, so cohesive. Um, Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I know I'm doing a lot of talking, I will pass it off in a second, but anyway, I think this is maybe the most ambitious animated movie maybe ever.
That's what I was
Um,
gonna say. I think this is some sort of peak for animated films, at
yeah.
least on a technical level.
Yeah. Into the Spider-Verse, of course, has forever changed, like, the landscape of animation. We've seen so many other studios trying to replicate its success with trying a new creative style, like
Mhm.
the new Ninja Turtles, Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
There was, like, that Netflix movie where that was really annoying. Mitchell's versus the Machines. So, yeah, we've seen it everywhere. Some more successful than others, but anyway, I
Yeah,
think it was an almost impossible task for the producers, Lord and Miller, to even follow up that movie, but
they did.
in my opinion, they just nailed it. For Spider-Man fans especially, I don't think you can really ask for more. I am a Spider-Man chill, and I think this is just the perfect narrative for this character.
But even as like coming from someone who's not like as huge on Spider-Man as you, I still think like you still felt that sort of like not like fan servicey nature, but like I guess seeing the like all these like Spider-Man represented in such a good way.
Yeah.
Like it still feels good even if you're not familiar with like the original characters or anything or the comics.
I think if anyone at this point does not believe that Miles Morales is Spider-Man, I think
You stupid.
you're just like, oh, like, what are you doing? You're coping.
Yeah.
He is Spider-Man, and this film makes it abundantly clear you're with him every second, and you see him tackling this huge multiversal conflict and fighting against this idea, which I love, the canon event,
Yeah.
where basically every Spider-Man has these events in their lives where they're gonna lose a loved one and it's gonna change their trajectory of them being a hero. And they're aware of this and they form the Spider Society, which is led by this character Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
And it's kind of about Miles, fighting against that and saying, you know what? I'm Spider-Man, but I don't need to be defined by this little
What?
flaw. And
Uh-huh.
I think that's just the perfect story to tell because, of course, Spider-Man's not a character who is just gonna let people die in his
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
He's gonna do what he thinks is right, no matter what.
Yeah, and like something like May December, I think this is a really meta commentary because it's almost
Mhm.
calling out the toxic fans
Who are
who
like
yeah, exactly, who are like,
have this
"Oh,
vision
Spider
for
dude,
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Spider-Man has to be this way. Oh, dude, Miles, like, he can't be Spider-Man." No, no. Like, forget all of that. Spider-Man is a character who has lived on, has had so many
Yeah.
different characters portray him.
It's about his values, not what happens to
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
I think, I mean, the canon event, that whole concept is such a powerful thing. And I think we've sort of like kind of forgotten how good it is just because it's become like, it's already become such like a staple of like pop culture. Like that's
Yeah.
literally like, it literally became like sort of like like a Gen Z slang
Yeah,
after the
we're
movie
in
came
a
out.
we're in a very strange climate, especially because of superhero movies, but
Mm.
multiverse especially.
Oh, yeah.
And this one just kind of shines out as one that gets it right.
Mhm.
It's definitely falls into the pitfalls of being like a fan service vehicle, but I think with Spider-Man, it's like it's almost expected. Like
Yeah.
you'll see millions, hundreds of Spider-Men who you're gonna recognize and point out and literally be the Wojak meme of like, oh dude, Spider-Man. But
That's
like
Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man.
and
But
like
it
yeah.
it works for the story
No,
very
no, no, yeah,
well.
I think it
Like there's
completely
no
works.
complaints
And
at
I
all.
was definitely sitting there and going like, "Oh my god, they're doing this." Like, yeah. I mentioned Miguel O'Hara. I think the side characters in this movie are great.
Oh yeah.
We got Daniel Kaluuya as
As a
Spider-Punk. He's
Spider-Punk, yeah.
awesome. I didn't look up the actor name, but Pavitra Pavarkar,
Yeah.
Spider-Man India, he's great. And Miguel O'Hara, yeah, Oscar Isaac, he's awesome in
Mhm.
this role. I think he completely embodies it, and just his voice and the range he has is awesome.
Yeah. And even like I think like the existing side characters like Gwen and
Oh yeah,
Peter Parker were like especially Gwen, like
yeah. I
just
think
expanded on so well.
opening up the movie with that drum solo was
That
something I
was
wasn't expecting, but it was so well done.
yeah, I mean that was animation wise, that was incredibly stunning. Like it wasn't even like I guess like an action scene in the traditional sense, but I felt like the energy
Yeah,
and I feel
exactly.
like it set the tone really well.
Yeah,
Just to
and I
start off the
think
movie.
a large part of that comes from my absolute favorite musical score from the past year
Oh
by
yeah,
Daniel
Daniel
Pemberton.
Pemberton.
Beautiful score, should have been nominated for an Oscar, whatever, boo. Seriously, some of the best tracks, the multiverse track, of course, Miguel
O'Hara's
O'Hara's
theme, yeah.
classic theme.
That's also
The
become a meme.
Spot theme, yeah, Spot was awesome. He's
Oh
a
yeah, the
great
spot.
character.
Dude,
Taking yeah,
his
like
sort of progression is crazy
I
because
know.
like he's just like a joke at first.
Yeah,
Sort of.
taking this D-list Spider-Man character, which I know just because I used to read comics and like he was in a few cartoons, but he shows up and he has a presence and he's gonna be a big threat in the next one.
We'll be talking about D-list Spider-Man characters in a bit, but
Oh, are we?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing about this movie, I think it is near perfect animation, writing, everything wise. I just don't think it ends in the best place.
I
Like obviously,
was about to bring that up
okay,
because
yeah,
I was gonna say the part one aspect does not bother me because they announced
okay.
this a long time before they even finished this movie. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I wasn't expecting this story to end because obviously, like, it's not going to go on for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just felt like, what's an example of like a part one, part two that's sort of
Like I was not super satisfied with Dune.
Dune?
Like where it ends, like
But okay, that's what I think. Dune ended in a good place though, because you
I mean
sort of
sure, but
got.
it's in the entire movie feels like it's building up to this climactic thing and then it just ends off.
I mean, we get the climactic thing though in that.
Yeah, but it's not on
Like
the
they
same
they
level.
attack and you get all the big action. No, I'm just saying like I feel like Dune had more of like a traditional like story structure, and that's why it felt more like it felt satisfying when it ended, even though it wasn't the end of the story. Like with Across the Spider Verse, I guess like the nature of the movie, with the nature of the movie, it's kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just felt it didn't feel sudden. It just didn't feel like there had been something to sort of like give that sense of finality to that part of the story.
I get you. Yeah, and that's a lot of people's complaint, but I think it has its own finality. I think there's so much in the story that
Yeah.
lends it well to being a part one. And where it leaves off is exciting, and I'm can't wait to see more.
Oh yeah. No, third one is gonna
Hopefully,
be. I'm so excited for that whenever it comes out.
we this
2031.
yeah 2031. This podcast might not even be going by then. We could die. One of us could die and never see it. You never know. But yeah, that's Spider Verse. We could talk about it all day, but we gotta move on to other movies.
More stuff.
All right. I've been doing a lot of talking because I don't know how to shut up. So I'm going to kind of pass this one on to you. Your number two and my favorite film of the year. We have Poor
Poor
Things by Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah, so this is his fifth, sixth. This is something. This is his most recent movie starring Emma Stone, and it's about this character who's
Bella
this is a weird
Baxter.
this is a weird concept actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. So this character, Bella Baxter, it's set in like the past, but it's like a fantasy land as well. There's like weird animals with like different body parts of other animals.
Mhm.
It's weird, as all Yorgos movies are. But it's about Bella Baxter and basically, well, there's this woman and she killed herself while she's pregnant, and that baby is Bella Baxter. So this one guy, played by Willem Dafoe, who's like a mad scientist, he sort of decides to do a little silly thing. He takes the
Very
brain of the
silly.
infant and puts it in the dead mother,
Yeah,
and
very
yeah,
strange out there concept.
and it creates this sort of woman baby, and that's Bella Baxter. And
Woman Baby the
yeah.
movie. I mean, like you said, yeah, it's a very out there concept, but
Mhm.
I think it's just handled with so much care and passion from every department.
Oh yeah.
This is a story and performance that could have been an absolute crumble failure,
Disaster. Yeah.
disaster if it was not given to someone like the caliber of Emma Stone.
Oh
I
yeah.
think she plays up all the parts that she needs to so well, from her mental infancy
Yeah,
to
to
when she
her
comes into her own as
as a
the
woman.
Bella
Yeah.
Baxter. Yeah,
And yeah, no, yeah, Emma Stone's performance definitely career best. I mean,
I would
do you
say
agree?
it's her best
Yeah.
performance. Yeah.
I mean, what she does in this movie
Wait,
is
wait, wait,
just
wait, wait. Sorry, Emily Stone.
Emily Stone. Okay. Emily Stone. That feels weird. Emily Stone, yeah. I mean, what she does in this movie is just like it's just like completely what am I trying to say? It's just completely like I don't know, it's almost like incomprehensible in a way because
Mhm,
like to play a character that's a baby at first and then a toddler and then a child and then an adult eventually, like to
mhm,
capture like that progression in such a natural way like this movie does
mhm.
is, I mean, a feat in its own. But to also like sort of portray like the quirkiness of this character too, because
Yeah.
like I guess the whole movie is littered with a bunch of interesting characters
Oh, yeah,
that are
there's a
very
wide array of
unconventional.
characters. Willem Dafoe, of course, you mentioned, he's like
Yeah.
a Frankenstein kind of scientist. We got Gerard Carmichael, who's great stand-up
Mhm.
comedian. He shows up as this nihilist character who's just bringing the real perspective to Bella Baxter and, like,
Yeah.
constantly bringing her down and telling her, like, "You know what? This is the way the world works, and you can't have this shiny baby outlook upon everything," you know? And we haven't touched on it yet, but a large part of her journey is through exploring
Uh,
herself sexually and
yeah.
like this dynamic where these men in her life want to dominate her,
Mhm.
um, both both metaphorically and physically,
Yeah.
but like own her and control her.
Mhm.
And it's her kind of learning or learning to outgrow that and say, you know what, I'm my own woman and I don't need to be defined by all these
Gross
gross
men.
men around me,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of these men is
Mark
Mark
Ruffalo's
Ruffalo,
character,
yeah,
yeah.
who is playing, I wish I had his name on deck, we should have been more prepared, as Duncan Weatherborough. I think this is one of his best performances, he's
Oh,
great.
yeah.
He is
Super funny in a
yeah,
pathetic sorta way.
yeah, he
Yeah.
hams it up and
He's
but
so slimy
I
too, like,
know, yeah.
especially at the start, but
It's great,
yeah,
it's adds something
so much
really
fun a
interesting to
lot
the
of fun to
dynamic.
watch, though,
Yeah.
to see his journey too throughout this movie,
Mhm.
but yeah.
I think, like we said, it's a very sexually charged movie, but
Mhm.
it's presented very tastefully and it's in tune with the character, and I remember when this film was coming out and, like, at the height of its release popularity,
Uh-huh.
there was, like, a mini controversy where people were just like, "Oh, this movie is
Misogynistic,
fetishizing," yeah,
yeah.
misogynistic. "This movie's fetishizing people who wanna have sex with young people," which is, like, not the goals of the movie at all, and
I
it just, like,
mean,
it
the way
frustrates
they're
me.
presented, it's obviously, like, these men are not glorified at all,
Mhm.
they're seen as, like, just complete, like, bastards,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
just horrible people that are taking advantage of her in this way, but I don't know, I think the sexuality of this movie is sorta it's the main focus,
Oh, yeah.
like, it takes up a lot of the runtime, which I think is also, like, a sort of controversial aspect that it's, like,
Mhm.
this explicit, but I don't know, I think it worked really well because it feels like because I think what this movie is sort of like a woman's life just condensed in a 2 hour, 2.5 hour ish runtime. So
Yeah.
it's a woman's life condensed in this short time. And like, I guess through any life, like you're gonna have a lot of sexual experiences.
Mhm.
So seeing them all like unfold in that runtime may seem like a lot, but I think in the grand scheme of like a life, like that's just what you're gonna go through like
Yeah,
as you're growing up and maturing, and that's how you like sort of learn. That's a part of existing in this world and learning to become like your own person
exactly,
and
and
sort of like taking back like learning to like take your own stand against them with that.
Mhm. And of course, it's in line with the characters. Like, she's
Yeah.
learning a lot, and she's forced to have this growth within such a short range of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of obviously feminist messaging and commentary. I think it's not on the nose at all. It's presented honestly, and there's some
Mhm.
clear introspection from the writer.
Yeah.
It handles it better than things like Barbie, which
Oh,
people
yeah.
are gonna dog on me for and have in the past. I prefer my commentary to not
Yeah.
be spoon fed to me.
Spoon-fed in a
I'm
monologue.
Yeah, in a monologue, unbroken monologue. I'm not a baby,
Mhm.
so don't treat me like a baby.
This is Barbie for cool people,
This is Barbie for cool
for
people.
indie people.
For smart
No.
people.
And, one more thing, we cannot talk about this movie without talking about the score.
Oh
The
yeah,
score for this movie is, I would say, a masterpiece.
yeah.
Just on first watch, I was just, like, so captivated by, like, just, like, the weird sounds used in the score. Like, this is a very, like, unconventional sort of way to score a movie because it feels like a weird sort of, like, ambient, like, electronic album if you were
Hmm.
to just, like, listen to the score on its own. But it complements, like, the oddness of this movie so well because
Oh
it's,
yeah,
like, it's odd,
experimental and like
but it's
otherworldly.
whimsical too.
Yeah.
Like, it adds to, like, the fantasy elements of the world. But it also has its, like, orchestral moments too that feel, like, very grand, like the
Yes.
ending song
Mhm.
and, like, everything else.
So much range, and when I was looking into this movie more, I realized that the composer has
Mhm.
not done much work. I Again, we should have been more prepared, but I'm gonna look at him right now. The composer, and I'm gonna butcher this name, Jerskin Fedrix.
Okay.
This is his first feature, I believe,
Which is
which
what?
is, oh my god, that is so impressive, and he's working with Yorgos again for his next feature,
Good.
Kinds of Kindness.
I think his style and Yorgos' style work together
Oh
so
yeah,
well.
blends well so
Yeah.
together. I guess that's all we have to say. We've
Yeah.
talked about this one
Poor
a lot.
Things.
Yeah, Poor Things, my
Amazing
favorite.
movie.
Yeah, amazing movie. My favorite movie of last year. There's nothing else that can be said. Should have
Yeah.
won Best Picture.
I
Get
mean,
mad.
there wasn't a universe where Oppenheimer wasn't gonna win.
You know what? I would
TBH.
have liked to believe. No, I don't even hate Oppenheimer for those of you out there. It could have gone to
It's
Poor
the safe
Things.
pick. It
It is the safe
Yeah.
pick. All right. And finally, moving on to Joshua's top film of 2023.
Bo If Afraid. That's what I wrote.
Bo If
Is
Afraid.
Bo If Afraid. Ari Aster's third feature length film. And yeah, I thought this was his best film yet. What is there to say about it? I mean, there is a lot to say about it. It's this sort of surreal, comedic, like comedy horror blend.
Thriller.
Yeah,
Epic.
thriller, epic. Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of like a grand odyssey
Yes.
through the eyes of a mentally fucked up guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Bo.
Bo, played by Joaquin Phoenix. And yeah, I thought this movie floored me. At least for my viewing experience, like how I felt while watching this, I felt like I was in a trance, especially like around like the second act when it got like very like surreal with like these weird like sort of like storybook sequences.
Oh, yeah.
This movie was just such a captivating journey for me to watch. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I loved it as well.
Mhm.
I saw it back in theaters when it was released for IMAX, weirdly. And
Lucky.
then, yeah, we rewatched it together. And I think the more I think about it, the more I watch it, it sticks with me better. It grows in my mind. And I love the tone, just the weird,
Mhm.
surreal, dark nature of this movie,
Yeah.
dark comedy. I think the first 30 minutes is definitely my favorite bit
Mhm.
of the movie. It's just so insane and
Chaotic,
like
yeah.
chaotic and like, oh my goodness, like
And
just, yeah,
hilarious too. Like
hilarious. Like, he's running butt naked in the street. There's people like homeless people invading his apartment. There's like this
yeah.
guy who's like Spider-Maning on the wall, or sorry, on the ceiling in his bathtub, and like
Mhm.
falls on him. That was
Yeah.
golden. Just like moments like that just
Yeah.
made me love how out there it is. And
Yeah.
I love that Ari Aster took this approach after Midsummer, which I also love.
Uh-huh.
But
Was definitely more
um,
conventional. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
for his
Yeah,
standards.
for Ari Aster, it
Yeah.
was conventional. Because with directors like this, you can see them falling into this trend of just doing what they're good at. But I
Mhm.
think that it was
He's
real.
pushing himself
Yeah,
with
he's
this,
pushing
like,
himself.
especially with this, like, he definitely pushed himself, like, to a new height.
Yeah, and it's good to see that.
Mhm.
I think for me personally, while I do love this movie, it does fall flat a little bit towards the end
Mm.
and stretches a little too long. It just feels like what it's doing isn't really servicing the narrative and its goals
Mm.
enough. And like it kind of becomes almost a parody of itself with, I'm just gonna say it, there's a giant penis monster. Obviously
Yeah.
there's some layers to it, but I think compared to the rest of the movie, it just felt definitely more like Ari Aster going like, "Oh, check
Mhm.
out this insane creature thing that I conceptualized."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I think
He digs with the penis
yeah,
monster.
I fuck with the penis monster,
He
but
fucks with it.
I don't know, I just feel like this movie, every section, like, sort of brings something new to the table that
Mhm.
I was very interested in. And obviously, like, yeah, your favorite section was the beginning with the whole chaotic nature, but I'm glad that the movie didn't stick with that. As fun as that was, I'm glad that the movie tackles so many different moods and so
Yeah.
many different vibes and ways of telling a story. Cause I feel like it aided to the sort of like grandness, well, grandness of the narrative. And I don't know, it just made the movie feel very diverse. Like there's
Mhm.
so much to take away from it just because it has these very distinct sections that have completely different sort of vibes to them.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love how much it bounces back and
Mm.
forth between tones and like different settings. Like that's one of the best thing about this movie is just the set design and how many different
Mhm.
varied locations there
Yeah.
are. And you kind of like stick in each location for like a set amount of time so you get like the
Yeah.
atmosphere.
You become
Yeah,
familiarized with it
yeah, exactly.
before shit goes down.
Before it all crumbles.
And yeah. And I guess this is due to how sort of like hypnotized I was by the movie, but I really didn't feel the runtime
Mhm.
or that like any moment was sort of not serving the narrative because I felt like a very distinct story being told with each part,
Yeah.
which I mean we could get into, but I think we'd be here for a long time if we tried to dissect this
Yeah,
movie.
it's all of these movies
Yeah.
we could talk about for an entire dedicated segment. But of
Yeah.
course, we got to move on. I really love this movie too. I think I'm going to like it more upon rewatches.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's not for everyone.
Oh yeah.
3 hours and like obviously I said there's stuff like penis monsters, a deranged military guy shooting up a
Yeah.
theater. But yeah, this is your favorite movie of the year.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right. And we're going to move on to our top albums, music albums from
Mhm.
last year, coming in a second.
Yep.
All right, and we're back to talk about our favorite albums from the past year.
Our top 3 albums. So, we're gonna give you guys our list first,
Yeah,
just so there's a little more cohesion.
we could have definitely done this for the films one. But you
Yeah.
know what? We're learning.
Yeah.
Okay, this podcast
First
is about
episode.
learning. First episode.
Alright.
Don't hate.
Alright, my list. So, we're just doing a top 3 for this one. So, my number 3 was Panchico's Failed at Maths. My number 2 was JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown's Scaring the Hose. And number 1 for me was Mitski's The Land is Inhospitable, and so are we.
Solid list. I wanted to diversify it a little bit, so I did add an extra album. I have a top 4. My 4 is Franzoli by the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. My number 3 is The Land is in Hospital and So Are We by Mitski. My number 2 is Everything is Alive by Slow Dive. And my number 1 is Failed at Mass by Panchico.
Pretty good list. So let's get started. We'll talk about Panchico first.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your favorite song?
It was my favorite. Okay. I'd say a couple of my favorite tracks was
Oh,
definitely Think It's Too Wise, Until I Know,
mhm.
and Rocking with Keith is definitely the ones that have stuck out to me the most.
Okay. I only gave one, but my favorite song was Gwen Everest. Yeah, I was really impressed with that one because of how it sort of blended shoegaze elements with their style. But okay, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about in depth later. But this is their first studio album actually, because Death Metal is a compilation technically
Mhm.
because it's combining their first 2 EPs, and Ferric Oxide is a sort of like a demo reel,
Yeah.
demo compilation album as well. So
Two
this is
other
their first studio album.
Two other great projects. Go
Yeah.
check those out.
No, death metal, one of my favorite albums of all time. So this is coming 23 years after that sort of album, which is, I mean, we're not going to get into it, but they have a pretty cool story of how they're sort of rediscovered after falling into obscurity. So I'm very impressed with this follow up, because a lot of the times when bands sort of come back after a while, it takes a while for them to sort of get back into the groove. But it felt like they had a lot of confidence on this. Like, it sounds like they're just sort of expanding on their sound in a really interesting way, because they still have, this is a weird way to put it, but I feel like with Panchico that it has this sort of like chronically online sort of vibe to it, like with all like the game and like anime samples,
Yeah.
and like the way like synths are used and stuff. Like it has that feeling of like old internet like stuff.
Yeah, and like you said, with them coming back, it's so seamless. Like, you wouldn't even notice it if you didn't know.
Oh yeah,
Like, they didn't. There's no dip in any quality of their production.
it's
Or
actually improved.
yeah,
a
it's
lot.
improved,
Yeah.
and like you get the same energy and like ambiance that their
Mhm.
first two projects like really captured, and like what they've defined as artists.
But you also still feel them sort of pushing themselves to a more darker sound,
Yeah.
because like especially compared to death metal, like it feels like it kind of feels like more like Radiohead vibes on this one. Like they're kind of pushing for a more, how do I describe this? Like sort
I
of more
don't know.
like
You're the music guy. You're
claustrophobic.
supposed to know.
I know. Sort of more like claustrophobic kind of environment with these like darker sort of chord progressions and stuff with their music. But yeah. When I first listened to this, I wasn't too crazy about it, but I think that's just because I'm so attached to the death metal album. I was kind of like, oh, this isn't like, I was kind of just like too focused on that to even
This
like,
ain't the same, bro.
yeah, I was kind of just like too focused on that to really not like care obviously, but like to really treat it with like the respect it kind of deserves.
Yeah.
But I saw them live like pretty much like right after I listened to it for the first time. Yeah, and that was honestly like the best concert I've been to in my life. But I haven't been to many, but still, like that was a great night. And
I feel kind of different. Like, I think as I've listened to all of them more, I think this might be my favorite project from them. It's
Really?
just the tracks really stick out to me. I like how much range there is with just the moods they're going for.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel a part of this album. Like, this one connects with me.
Okay.
It like it's like no joke. Like, it speaks to me more.
Yeah.
And I like the vibes. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think something really interesting they did is that they kind of split it between like sort of more like rock oriented stuff, like a lot of full band stuff, but also a lot of like synth based tracks, like the title track.
Yeah.
Or like what's that one called?
I don't know. You're the music guy.
What is that song? Hold on. Find It a Song. Yes, that one.
Yes, that one's really good.
Yeah. Like they have also those sort of more ambient synth based tracks, which is a really nice,
that one's awesome.
Really nice contrast. And one more thing, the lead singer Owain, he sounds really good on this. Because I mean, obviously they probably have more of a budget and more access to like high quality stuff to like make their music. Because like, I mean, not this is a bad thing, but a lot of like death metal and like Ferric Oxide, it's very like amateurish.
What was his name again?
Owain.
Yeah. This guy's got a million plus aura.
I know. He's got like the perfect like androgynous sort of like femboyish kind of tone to his voice, which is weird way to describe it, but like it's got the sauce, you know, like.
Yeah, when we say femboy, it's not a diss.
No, male singers who sound sort of like women, we love them. Okay.
I get what you mean.
All right.
Music heads will get it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. You were number 2?
Yeah, just carry on with
introducing
it.
So Justin's number 2 was Slow Dives. What's it called?
Everything is Alive.
Everything is Alive. I haven't listened to this one, so.
Dude, you're supposed to know everything about music. Like, how I know
this to me.
Like how I know everything about movies.
Everything. You were looking stuff up too. Okay.
Fine. Okay. Anyway, I thought this was a great album in their collection.
Yeah.
Very different energy from, I feel like, the rest of their catalog. I feel like all their albums have like a certain flavor, and this one is definitely more moody and like ethereal and
More
Yeah,
ethereal.
more ethereal, honestly,
Mhm.
to me, and it feels very, like, visceral, like, you feel
Yeah.
just it's the soft nature that it has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like they were kind of going back to some of their roots, I'd
Mhm.
say,
Yeah.
and honestly, I feel like this is kind of like a culmination of their works.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I've only listened to, is it Souvlaki? How you pronounce it? Their most popular
Um,
album. That's the only slow
yes.
dive album I'm, familiar with, but how would you say this sort of compares to that album?
I also really love Slovaki,
That album, the slow dive album.
the Slow Dive album.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I said it's going for something really different,
Mhm.
but I think it shows growth
Yeah.
as a band, and,
Mhm.
they're going for these new sounds and, like,
Mhm.
different ranges of vocals and, like, experimenting with, I don't have the musician's
Like synths
vocabulary, but
or
yeah,
like yeah.
synths. But yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it was great.
I mean, I haven't listened to it, but
You should give
you
it a
mind
listen.
sharing your favorite song just
Oh, yeah, for
for the
sure.
listen?
Kisses is definitely my favorite one.
Mhm.
Shanti and A Life are also definitely up there.
Okay. And yeah. All right. So for my number two, moving on to my number two, it was JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown scaring the hose. You listened to this one too, right?
So I do this thing sometimes where I don't fully listen to albums. But,
We're gonna fix that.
I've heard some of it,
We're gonna fix that.
and
But
I'm into both.
yeah, I mean, a JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown collab is something that we've been teased for a while.
Ooh.
So I was very excited for this, to say the
Mhm.
least. When it came out, I listened to it. I was like, damn, this is everything I could have ever wanted. Like, the beats on this thing are just insane. Like, JPEG Mafia, I think with this has like solidified himself as like one of the best producers of like this new generation of hip hop artists. It's just, this album is just like completely unhinged, but in a sort of like controlled kind of way. Like, because these two artists, like, they know what they're doing. Like, they both made like some of the best hip hop albums of all time. Like, you could feel that sort of control they have, and the maturity, I guess you could say, the maturity they
Mhm.
have from the experience they've gotten from creating such sort of monumental pieces of work in their past, and now they're just coming together. And it definitely sounds like they're having a lot of fun too,
Mhm.
which is, I think, very important for a collab album. Like, you can feel the chemistry, and it doesn't feel like, it feels casual in a way that's authentic and sort of is a good contrast to the really weird and experimental nature of the songs on this. But what do you think?
Um, so I did not really revisit this album, but I
Okay.
remember
But you
listening
you
to a
like
few
JPEG
tracks.
Mafia, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like JPEG Mafia. Danny Brown, I haven't gone to as much. I should. Yeah, honestly, JPEG Mafia is one of the only, like, hip hop artists I'm really keeping up with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've I've kind of fallen off of the hip hop scene, as
Mm.
Joshua knows, and I feel like he's the only one doing
He's
these.
a standout for
Yeah,
sure.
he's the only one experimenting,
Pushing the
creating
genre.
new sounds, pushing the genre. Whereas I feel like it's just the sea right now
Mhm.
of generic, lame, just lameness, and I just like
Yeah.
that's why I've fallen
It's
off.
definitely in a saturated sort of, we're definitely in like a saturated kind of period. But
I'll check this one out.
yeah, you definitely should. So my favorite song from this was Step a Pig, but I mean, I also really like Garbage Pail Kids. I think the sampling on that one is really really good, really really good. One complaint, I think that the second half of this album, it's it's still really good. Like, I still like the songs on it a lot, but I feel like it's gonna be weird to say about like a JPEG Mafia project, but it's not really like easy listening. It's the sort of thing where like the songs, like when I listen, like if I am to listen to them, like I would enjoy them, but it's not something I would come back to a lot, which
Hmm. The replayability isn't
it
there.
kind of goes down in the second
Okay,
half. But that's not anything against the songs, because the songs are still really good. They're just like, I guess, not really my thing moving into the second half.
I see
But
what you mean.
still amazing album. JPEG Mafia and Danny Brown, Dream Come True collab. And yeah, next album is Mitski's The Land is Inhospitable, and So Are We.
Mitski's album, put it at number 3 on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Mitski, and I thought this was
So am I.
great.
Mhm.
Beautiful, heartbreaking,
Yeah.
so much ambiance, and I love what's going on here with the vocals, what she's doing with the instruments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just I
Definitely a lot more like orchestral stuff
oh
going
yeah.
on, like the
Uh-huh.
strings and the horns and everything.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I think this album is sort of like, I mean, obviously I love Mitski too, and her other albums are some of my favorites as well, but I feel like with this one she's really coming into her own as an artist.
Mhm.
I heard somewhere in an interview that this is the first album where she sort of just didn't really care what people thought and was kind of just creating the stuff that she wanted to do. And you could definitely feel that. Like these songs, they feel very what's the word? They feel very well written. Like they're not over or underwritten
Mhm.
because I think a problem that I've not a problem, but it's sort of like a small issue I've had with like past Mitski albums is that she'd have a lot of songs that are sort of underwritten that are like very short.
Yeah.
But I think with this album, like that problem is just completely gone.
Yeah.
Like she's just every song on this album just feels like complete and like developed in like the perfect way. And I think she's like sort of reached a new level when it comes to her songwriting.
Yeah, I didn't know that she was just kind of, I guess, going for it, like,
Yeah.
and you can definitely sense that. It has a really free flow nature,
Oh yeah.
but I feel like it's also very focused, like, you can still
Hmm.
feel the narrative that she's going for, and, like,
Hmm.
it doesn't feel like it's just kind of these loose strands that she's stitching together,
Yeah.
like, you feel a focus.
And of course, there's some charm to that old sort of style that she'd have,
Oh, yeah.
but I do like that she's going into a newer direction with that in terms of her songwriting. But that's not to say that she's sort of abandoned her old kind of style because I still feel like the explosive nature of like Mitski in
Mhm.
this album that she's kind of sort of known for. Like on tracks like Star, like you can still feel like this very strong, almost like, yeah, I guess explosive is the right word. This very strong, like explosive release of emotions that is present on many Mitski tracks. I think that she still has that on this album, just sort of packaged and presented in a very not a very, but in a slightly different way to sort of aid her new style of songwriting and just like creating more complete tracks.
Yeah.
And
What was some of your favorite ones?
my favorite song was I Don't Like My Mind. I
Mm.
love
Yeah,
just
mine
how,
that's up there for me
yeah,
too.
I love how just like desperate and like sort of like a breakdown, like
Mhm.
how that song feels like that. But other songs I liked were Heaven, Buffalo Replaced, Star.
Yeah, love Buffalo Replaced. Obviously, it's a big hit at the time. My Love,
Oh yeah.
Mine All Mine. Yeah, it's
But
great.
honestly, when it comes to the favorites, like
It's not up there.
no. I was gonna say like when it comes to favorites, that like I could say like almost every song on this because I think this is a very very consistent album.
Nice.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One issue that keeps this from being a perfect album for me, I'm not too crazy about the opening song, Bug Like an Angel, which is just a little acoustic track, which is it's not bad at all.
Mhm.
It's good, but it's just compared to everything else on the album, everything else that's so grand and that feels so like well put together, like it just doesn't really compare to me.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is a near perfect album and I think one of her best works to date.
Yeah, it's great. We love it. We're two sad little emo boys. We love our Mitski.
Yep.
All right. And moving on.
Moving on. What?
No. Oh
This is
yeah,
you. This is
this is
you.
my additional album. Oh yes, like we said, we're still figuring this out. We got Franzoli by the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. This is a band that I've definitely been getting into more recently. Just funny little anecdote. Joshua was going to go to a concert for them,
Uh-huh.
but he was unable to because he's underage.
Oh yeah.
Right? This
Yeah.
this is what happened,
It was
right?
20. No, I don't it was 21 and over
Yeah,
for the
it was a
venue. So
no
yeah.
baby event, so he couldn't go. I wouldn't have been able to go, so I guess I'm a baby.
Yeah.
And it was really funny hearing my mom say, "Oh, Joshua was trying to go to this concert, but they couldn't because they weren't 21." And I said, "Well, oh, what's the name of the band?" And she said, the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets." So that was really funny hearing that come out of my mother's mouth.
Dang.
Anyway, I really enjoyed this album. It gave me a lot of, the same feels as their earlier work, but also like many of the other albums, exploring new flavors and
Mhm.
tones. It was honestly really reminiscent of the Strokes and like the Arctic
Really?
Monkeys,
Yeah.
other two, sorry, bands that I really love. Um, this one's definitely out of the ones I've listened to, which is not many. I've
Mhm.
listened to High Visceral Part 1 and 2, and that's about it. And this album, but I feel like out of the ones I've listened to, this is definitely their most like lively, energetic, and it's just a great contrast to those earlier
Yeah.
projects. I'd say some standout tracks is definitely Captain Gravity, Mouse Welcome, All Aboard the SS Sinker, and Illusions of Grandeur.
I'm loving the names.
Yeah, they're great with any names.
Mhm.
Obviously, their band name is awesome. I think these tracks specifically capture the spirit of this album really well. They're energetic, they're wild, but there's also just so much heart, and they're
Mhm.
slow, and they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to this one, so I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, definitely just check out
The
them
band.
in
Yeah.
general. Yeah, High Visceral, great.
Mhm. All right.
Yeah, those were our top albums from this past year,
Mhm.
and right now we're going to move into the final part of our podcast episode where we're going to talk about longer form discussions, usually centered on like one movie. I know I worded that terribly. So
You
yeah, we're
got
going to
it,
be
you got it.
talking about a hit. Because we talked about our favorites, we have to talk about a hit from this year,
Mhm.
which we will bring to you in just a second.
Yep.
And we are finally back for our long form discussion. And we will be talking about a recent 2024 film, the critically acclaimed no
Modern
modern
masterpiece.
masterpiece, Madam Web, directed by S.J. Clark, starring Dakota Johnson.
Mm.
For those of you who don't know, Madam Web is Sony's fourth entry in their Sony Spider-Man Cinematic Universe and their follow-up to the cult classic 2022 film Morbius. It's Morbin
Mhm.
time.
Made him more $1 billion.
Yeah, and it's another one in their universe of Spider-Man
Mhm.
without a Spider-Man. And
Yep.
like we mentioned before about these D-list characters in his rogues gallery, and I thought this was a crazy decision and just a fever dream of a movie. Joshua, what did you think?
I mean, I'm just gonna drop the bombshell right now, right off the gate. I'm just gonna say, like, I didn't think this was that bad. Like, to be honest, this wasn't that bad of a movie. But
Mm-hmm.
what do you think?
Interesting. Okay. So we watched this a couple days ago. I rewatched it. Joshua saw it for the first time, and we've been just letting it sit over this past week. I guess that's a long way of saying I think this movie is terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Uh-huh.
And it stumbles across itself. It feels like a project that's been just sitting in the oven and like 10 bajillion cooks have touched it. And it's just kind of this zombie of a product that's come to life and it's somehow out here. And as genuinely horrendous as it can be at times, I love it for that fact. And I think it's hilariously
Yeah.
entertaining.
We can both agree that we love this movie.
Yeah, we love this movie. Despite how ironic it might be, we have a genuine love for this movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay. I mean, I know I just said that this movie, I don't think it's that bad, but there are very obvious flaws with this movie.
Really.
I'm speaking like just technically,
Mhm.
like the ADR.
Oh, yeah. The ADR.
Dude, all of I don't even know his name. All of the villains'
Well,
lines.
haha. I came prepared for this section.
Oh, okay, okay.
The actor is Tahir Rahim,
Mhm.
and he plays the antagonist of the movie, Ezekiel Sims.
Ezekiel Sims. Okay. Well, all of Mr. Sims' dialogue seemed to be dubbed over,
Dude, did my
or at
boy
least
dirty.
or at least 99% of it.
Yeah, he's already just not giving a good performance. I hear he's a very talented actor. French, he's done a lot of French
Oh,
movies
okay.
apparently. But just this one,
Yeah. I
he's
don't
going for it, but it just did not work, and his line delivery is not there. The script obviously is not
Yeah,
helping him.
not helping him at
Yeah.
all. Yeah, I think that is another pretty obvious flaw with this movie. The acting is not it's not up to
Oh,
par.
yeah, we have some pretty big names in the industry,
Mhm.
that are doing their best with what they're given.
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney. We have, Isabella Merced, who's
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
big, you know,
I mean,
she's
she
Dora.
was fine in this movie. She
She's
was
just
whatever.
whatever. We have Adam Scott,
Also
which
just fine.
yeah, just fine. Like, you know him, people know him from Parks and Rec. We got
Mhm.
Emma Roberts, who I've never been huge on, but, you know, she can churn out a
Yeah.
decent
And she
performance.
was also just fine.
Just fine, and of course, the star of the show,
Dakota.
Dakota Johnson, the madam herself. And we actually got a beautiful, poster that I hung up, and it says the tagline, "Her web connects them all."
Damn.
And
That's
her
cool.
web surely connects them all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to the acting, there are definitely some bad performances. Like obviously the villain, Mr.
Sims?
Sims. Yeah, Mr. Sims.
Johnny Sims?
Yeah. Madam Web's mom was pretty laughable too.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's just a trend with bad superhero movies to have like an opening scene with horrendous acting.
Oh, yeah.
But
Before we, like, kind of dive into, like, I guess, the plot of the movie,
mm,
I have some questions for you. How familiar were you with Madam Web as a character?
not at all.
Not at all.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so when you probably saw the trailer or teaser, right?
Yeah, I
What
did.
was your impression of this character?
That she was like, dude, honestly, I could not get a good read on like what they were trying to do. I mean, that trailer was honestly way worse than the movie, at least in my opinion. That trailer was something
Horrendous.
horrendous in
Yeah.
itself, but like I don't know, just with that, I feel like it was kind of I don't know, I just couldn't get a good read on what Madam Web was.
Yeah.
It just it just had, you know, the infamous line read. I don't remember what she says. That's
Oh, I have that written down, and I will bring that we'll bring that up a few more times, but the infamous line that he's talking about in the trailer,
Mm,
which they cut from the movie,
mhm.
which I was so mad about, but anyway, it is, "He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died." Which is, like, just the biggest nonsense and, like, delivery of exposition ever.
That could have used some
Um
Grammarly or something.
Oh, yeah.
But
I was gonna say, yeah, to any outsiders who aren't familiar with, like, comics and, like, Spider-Man characters, this is just so
mhm,
confusing.
mhm,
I know Madam Web just because some silly video game appearances she had. She was a big
mhm,
character in the '90s cartoon, so that's my only
mhm.
knowledge of her.
Yeah,
And just learning about Sony deciding to make an entire movie about her was
yeah.
confusing and desperate, but also after Morbius, I wasn't surprised. And we
I
have another one of those coming out later this year, Kraven the
Craven,
Hunter.
super excited for that.
Yeah, which is gonna be
I
awesome as well.
I am aware that they changed a lot about Madam Web's character. Like they just made a ton of shit up
Oh, yeah, yeah.
for the purpose of this film. Which I mean, I guess we're kind of getting into like my sort of defense for this movie, but I didn't think it was like obviously I'm not familiar with the character, but I don't think the way they presented her story was that stupid.
Really.
I don't know. I
Uh.
mean, she was born in that weird spider forest, and then her mom was bitten by the spider, and she has cool spider powers, and she can tell the future. Like,
I mean, I get
it's nothing.
it's
I don't
not
think
any more
it's
out there compared to the rest of Spider-Man.
to the rest of just superheroes in general, and
Yeah.
that's part of why I don't think this movie is that bad. Because like I don't know, I just didn't really see anything in it that was any better or worse than like your average like MCU movie when it comes to like the story and like the dialogue, ignoring the ADR, but
Yeah,
like the
that's really
dialogue.
interesting because yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, yeah, I watch a lot more movies. I keep up a
Mhm,
lot more with superhero movies despite my mixed feelings about them. Joshua, you definitely, like, bounce back and forth between the ones that just, like, interest you.
yeah,
And yeah, we're just in a weird period of time where obviously the MCU, the DC universe, they've just not been hitting. They'll have like an occasional hit once in a while,
yeah.
but overall they're just kind of just flopping, doing whatever. And we have Sony just in the corner, just going like, "Oh, come on, we're part of this too, guys." Which is why I love it in a way. It's like it's so pathetic.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
It's almost like
desperate.
you can't
Yeah.
help but watch and laugh at it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As much as I can hate on this movie, I laugh and I have a good time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So regarding my favorite part of this movie and why I like the real reason why I don't think this movie is bad, it's the cinematography and the camera work. Dude,
Yes.
I loved it. Like,
You loved it.
completely honest, I love the way this movie was filmed. It was very jarring at first when they did all those weird, like, those zooms. Like, it was weird at first, but then once you realize that this is what the movie's going for, I thought I loved it. I mean, I thought it was elevating every action scene, like taking these very generic sort of sequences, just elevating it with like crazy camera flips or whatever. Like I thought it was a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
And like, I don't know. I guess I haven't seen a superhero movie in a while that has personality like that,
Okay.
especially in its camera work.
No, I definitely get what you're saying, and I laugh just because I don't know, it's just like it reminds me of, like, Aquaman, which isn't a great movie
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
sure, but you see the clear passion and, like, dedication from James Wan. You see
Yeah.
all these directing quirks, his style of how he presents the scenes and action scenes, and I feel like that's an example where what he's trying to do with the camera
Mhm.
works and is, like,
Yeah.
consistent because he knows what he's doing behind the camera.
Yeah.
And this one just feels so amateur, especially I think the editing does not do it any favors. It is fan film level of editing. The shots where it's, like, trying to go for this crazy perspective of, like, them going on walls and, like,
Mhm.
Spider-Man shots, they just don't work. They're executed in such a goofy way, and I could not
Mhm.
get behind it. But it was funny though. I laughed every time they were trying to do something crazy like that.
I don't know. I feel like this, I guess to you that's sort of a flaw, but to me I feel like this movie was, I don't know if it was going for it intentionally, but it had this sort of like campy nature to it that I felt like a lot of superhero movies have been like trying to avoid, while this movie is kind of just like embracing like that sort of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe not intentionally. I don't think, okay, as much as I'm defending this movie, I don't think anything that I like about it was done 100% like intentionally. Like I think that they were sort of trashing their way through it
Oh,
to
yeah.
sort of get it out. But I don't know. I think like besides its technical issues, I don't see how this movie is any worse than a film like Aquaman, because it definitely gives me a lot of the same sort of like really ridiculous vibes, but in a sort of like in a fun way, like in a way that I can enjoy.
Okay. That's very interesting.
It feels
Um,
so weird, like talking about Madam Web in this way, because I've had so many like sort of like preconceived notions about like what this film is,
yeah.
especially like from like the response it's had and how people have been reacting to it. But honestly, like
No, I'm glad you're bringing this perspective to the conversation because we've heard on so many discussions from anyone I talk to, like everyone, but
Mhm.
it's the butt of the joke. This is just a terrible movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's great that you feel that way. So yeah, finally looping back around.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is an origin story
Mm,
for the
mhm.
character of Madam Web,
Yeah.
who they never call Madam Web in the movie. She's Cassie Webb, but they never call her Madam Web.
She just
And
happens, okay, I guess this is due to like having to like put together a backstory, but I find it funny that she just happens, her last name happens to be Webb, and her mom was researching spiders.
yeah,
Like,
in the Amazon right before she died.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it's her origin story
Mhm.
of learning to use these powers that she's discovered,
Mhm.
that she kind of like taps into after an accident, and her saving these three girls
Mhm.
who are teased to be Spider Women in the future, and she's protecting them from Mr. Ezekiel Sims,
Yes.
who keeps having visions of them as Spider Women and
Murking
like
him.
murking him, throwing him out of a window and just looking at him as he falls.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the general plot, and it's not on paper, it's a pretty basic Spider-Man multiverse story,
Mhm.
but I don't know how you feel about this, but I thought there was absolutely no need for there to be 3 side characters.
Yeah, I mean, I liked their dynamic as a group of teenage girls, but they were really just like the same character,
Oh,
just
yeah.
copy and pasted 3 times. Like we
They
had
all have the same
yeah.
backstory,
Yeah, they all have the
basically.
same backstory, which I mean, that's wow. That's just
Yeah, the most you can say about their characters is one likes science, one is like,
preppy and
yeah, preppy and
goody
like,
two shoes,
yeah,
and one's
hasn't,
a rebel
and one's a
and
rebel, yeah,
skateboards
and
and flips off
skateboards,
Dakota
is a
Johnson.
savage,
Yeah,
and in
that was the funniest thing. Like we have the nice one and then the mean one, and then she likes math.
yeah,
That's the
straight
third
out
one.
of like a teenage girl movie.
Yeah.
And in the most goofy execution, when they're first meeting the titular Madam Web,
Mm-hmm.
it's presented so terribly in the trailer too. They're like, "Wait, you're the woman who lives in my apartment. Wait, you're the woman who almost ran me over. Wait, you're the woman who was at the hospital," and it's just hilarious. I forgot to mention that too. She's she works.
Worker.
She's huh?
Yeah, she's a paramedic.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah,
paramedic. And she's a paramedic alongside Adam Scott's character, who is Ben Parker, because they have to remind you that this is part of the Spider-Man universe. He is Uncle Ben, and a lot of the movie, he's talking about Emma Roberts' character, Mary Parker,
Mhm.
which is supposed to be Spider-Man's mom.
Yeah.
And they keep teasing her baby, which they do not specify the name, but you know, it's Peter.
Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. And they have some hilarious lines nodding to the eventual Spider-Man. They're rushing in an emergency in the ambulance, and Adam Scott and Dakota Johnson, they're kind of bouncing back and forth, talking about like being in Queens,
Mhm.
and Madam Web says, "What? You've never been shot at in Queens?" An obvious nod to
Okay.
his eventual fate.
Mad disrespectful, but okay.
And we have Emma Roberts saying about her baby that, "Oh, he just keeps jumping around in there because he's Spider-Man." Like, really?
Bruh. This okay. You know what? I do agree. The inclusion of Spider-Man in this is very forced and very not good. But
It's a
I
scam.
mean, what do you mean it's a scam?
It is straight up just like, it's telling you like, "Oh, this woman's gonna be a large part of the Spider-Verse." And like, it's straight up in the trailers show you they played so heavily in the marketing that they're gonna get the three girls, Sydney
Mhm.
Sweeney and them. They're gonna get their powers. They're gonna be in the suits, but we never see them.
Okay, I was disappointed by it, but at the same time, like the story was fine without like them as Spider-Man or Spider-Woman.
And I guess I can't really get mad because this is just an ongoing Sony problem of like teasing stuff that that just won't
We'll
happen
see it in
in
the
the movie.
sequel.
Shut the fuck up. There's no sequel.
We just well, we need to rally together so we can get that sequel. If y'all want your Spider-Woman so bad.
Well, I hate to break the news to you, Joshua, but this movie definitely underperformed,
Not on my watch.
making
$1
that's
billion.
it grossed $100 million total worldwide,
Mm-hmm.
and on a budget of 80 million. So a flop. It didn't even make its money back. We're not getting a sequel.
Well, if you guys wanted Spider-Woman so bad, you should have seen the movie.
Should have seen the movie.
Should have seen the movie, and then we were gonna you get your Spider-Woman in Madam Web 2, which will never come out now because of you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Bringing it back to the star of the show, Dakota Johnson.
Oh, let's talk about her.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious how much you can see on screen her just disdain and anti-passion for this character and just being in this universe.
Yeah. Here's something I'm gonna say. I actually really liked her performance as Cassie Webb. I thought she had this sort of charisma that actually like made this character like someone I actually like wanted to follow. I don't know how the way she comes off as like not really giving a fuck, and like the way she's characterized in the movie as like this sort of like introverted, like sarcastic, kind of like weirdo type of character. I feel like it kind of worked together to create like an actually like sort of like likable a protagonist that you actually like, want to root for because like she's characterized in a way that fits her personality. Like it feels like the movie was written around the fact that she didn't want to be in it, and therefore it's making the movie better. So like when she has like her moments where she's like her acting is kind of shit, like when her friend dies.
No.
I feel like it's more forgivable because when you're thinking of it like in the
O'Neill.
character, in the perspective of the character, like she's been characterized as like someone who's not good in social interaction. So obviously, like someone like that experiencing an event like that is not going to react like a normal person would.
I feel like you're giving the movie and its script a lot more leeway than it actually deserves because to me, just
Okay,
I see no difference from Dakota Johnson in real life and this performance of this character.
okay, but I like Dakota Johnson in real life.
I do too. Like I don't think she's a bad actor. She just needs to be casted well. Like she's great in Suspiria and quite a few other things,
Mm,
but this one she just it's just a clear case of, oh, I'm doing my job. I'm getting paid the check, but it's not
okay,
because she loves this character. She doesn't care about Marvel. She doesn't
okay,
care about
but
Spider-Man.
the actress herself has that charisma to sort of not need for a performance with a lot of effort. And the fact that the movie, whether intentional or not, feels written around that, I think it makes it good. Like I think, like for me at least, my experience, I was like, oh, I kind of like Cassie Webb. Like she has her moments too, where she's like legitimately like funny. Where I was like actually like laughing, not just because the movie was like horrendous, but because like I thought it was actually funny. Like the baby shower scene when she's like,
No.
"Oh yeah, my mom died in childbirth." Just like how you're about to give birth to
I
a child.
guess there's some charming things about her. It's playfully awkward and
Yeah.
like I like how wooden she is. It makes it more funny to me.
I think she's wooden in a way that like feels real though. Like it doesn't feel wooden because the performance is well, I mean, it doesn't feel wooden because it's a bad performance. It feels wooden because that's sort of the stoic nature of the actress.
I suppose.
I'm just saying, this is underrated performance. This is underrated performance, and it made the movie better in my eyes.
All right, that's valid. But I think we should probably move on to another section. So let's get back into the main plot of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another kind of character conflict movie. Cassie Webb is trying to uncover why her mom was in the Amazon researching spiders before she died,
Mm-hmm.
and she's learning it through her kind of visions and interactions with Ezekiel Sims and these like old photographs and bag that she has of her mother's. And she discovers that while her mother was pregnant, she went to the Amazon to retrieve these powerful spiders
Mm-hmm.
because she was told that upon Cassie Webb's birth that she would have a neuromuscular disorder, to which Dakota Johnson says,
But I don't have a neurological disorder or neuromuscular. So what is
yeah,
it?
something like that.
Okay, yeah, whatever. It was weird. They had the opening scene, and then when she discovered that, they showed it again, which was like kind of redundant.
Yeah, and we
But
kind of mentioned it, but ridiculous editing and montage of the opening scene is just the editing is incomprehensible.
okay, but visually, I don't think it's that bad either.
It's
It
okay.
looks better than like some scenes in modern MCU movies. Like the
Um,
effects of like these like sort of like
yeah.
surreal like web sequences. I think they look okay.
Yeah, sure. Definitely in the Sony verse, but that's not a high bar at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, she discovers that
Mm,
her mom actually loved her and she was like, "Oh my god, mom, you loved me.
very
I'm
emotional
gonna
scene.
I'm gonna go be a superhero."
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Parker, which is Spider-Man's
Peter
mom,
Parker's mom. Yes.
is having the baby and she is being rushed to the hospital by Adam Scott and this group of girls who I feel like we've said this and we've nodded to it, but they
Mm,
just no chemistry between any of the characters. Anti chemistry.
yeah, I think it's fine. I think I
Um,
said earlier, I kind of like their interactions though. Like it feels like just like a group of teenage girls. Obviously, it's very standard dialogue for a superhero movie, very just like quippy and dumb.
it's just a
But
whole lot of nothing to me.
mm,
So they're rushing to the hospital, and
mhm.
Mr. Sims, who, oh my god, there's so many things there's just so many ridiculous things we're like negating and like not mentioning.
Like what
He
like the whole like train sequence.
the train sequence, but the
Mm,
fact that he has a supercomputer system that can
Yeah.
allow him to track down anyone across anywhere and digitally de-age the girls to find out what they look like.
Which didn't even matter because they just look the same regardless.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was stupid.
And he has a
And she
funny
has that lady. He has that
oh
lady servant or
yes,
whoever
yes.
whoever she is. Where did she even come from?
She just works for Mr. Sims. She's a
Okay.
Sims follower. She has no charisma at all. I don't know why they
She
didn't.
literally messed up her line in one scene, and they kept it in.
Yeah, yeah. That's really
That
funny.
was hilarious.
Oh yeah, back to this is what this movie does to you. It starts all these webs and then you just get lost in it all. The ambulance chase, Ezekiel Sims is coming for her, but one of Madam Web's powers apparently is to hijack vehicles and crash into Ezekiel Sims, which
That's just her thing.
she does once in a diner to save them,
And then
and
again.
in this final scene, in this final act,
Mhm.
to save them once again,
Yeah.
and it all culminates in this final action set piece in this firework factory.
Yeah. These insanely powerful fireworks that can break through like brick walls. But then when they hit Dakota Johnson, like they just leave her blind.
Yeah.
When they should be like piercing through her skull or
Ooh,
something.
we're jumping the gun a little bit, but yeah.
Okay. But yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous set piece. Ezekiel Sims is like the most incompetent villain of all time.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that to him. Like they nerfed him. Like after he gets hit by the car the second time, he's just like completely nerfed and not a threat
Scooby
at
Doo
all.
ass villain getting hit by the fireworks. They like trick him, just nonsense. And
Mhm.
they decide to take cover on the rooftop. And out of nowhere, a helicopter comes to save them.
No, she called it. She called the
Oh, she called them?
She called it.
Okay.
But
My
then it
bad.
gets taken down.
But then it gets
Just-
taken down and it crashes into this giant Pepsi Cola sign that
Mhm.
is being displayed. And oh, it's this chaos disaster. The three girls, they're like all about to die, fall,
Yeah.
but
She uses the web.
she uses the web. She is told earlier that she can tap into this power where she can be in more places than once at a time.
Yeah.
And this one of the ancient spider people tells her the infamous line, and when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. And everyone claps.
Yep. He said it.
He said it.
She said it. Whoever said it.
It was him.
It was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, she uses the super Madam Web power and saves them all.
Okay. That Loki didn't make sense, but like I was still rocking with it.
You were rocking with it.
I was like, this is so stupid. Like I'm enjoying it.
You were rocking with Keith.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he's like, you cannot save those girls. And then she says some line like, but I want to, or something. I don't know. Something
And then she
like
saves
that.
those girls.
She saves those girls. Not to diss my boy, but you know, it's funny. He falls. Does he get hit by another firework? What happens?
He just like gets crushed by a ton of rubble.
No, but how does he fall off the sign?
I have no idea. I think it just fucking everything just crumbles or something. I don't even know. He falls. That's
He
that's all we need
falls.
to know. Yeah.
And then he gets crushed by the Pepsi P.
Mm-hmm.
Pepsi saves the day.
Yeah. Not sponsored.
And not sponsored, but the movie is sponsored by Pepsi because there's a lot of product placement. Anyway, the Madam Web falls into water, and like there was another accident where a car fell into water earlier in the movie, and it looked like it fell 2 feet. And it happens when she falls into the water. And I'm like, oh, wait. Later in the movie, it shows that she's crippled, but I did not put that together. It just looked like she fell into a pool. And then as she's falling, a firework springs through the water.
Domes her in the head.
And domes her in the face, basically. And
then,
blinds her.
And then she got paralyzed too, but
yeah.
We don't know. We don't see how that happens. I'm assuming it was just from the fall.
It was from the fall.
Okay.
Yeah. They save her, and great early foreshadowing setup. She teaches them CPR, and that comes back into play.
They CPR her
They
back.
save her.
And then they live happily ever after.
They live happily ever after.
Living with her for some reason, even though they have families, but they're on their own. So
she's in the hospital, and the caretaker or whatever is like I don't even know the line, but she's like, "Who are these girls to you?" And she's like, "They're mine. I adopt all of them."
It's weird. Like the movie is surprisingly like optimistic about her being permanently disabled for the rest of her life. Like they're like, yeah, this is her final form. Madam Web
Yeah.
cannot see anymore and will never walk again. Hell yeah. I was just like, this is kind of, I don't know. I feel like if this happened to anyone else, they'd be a little more sad about it. But
Yeah,
she's kind of just like, yep, this is
dude, because she's locked her full potential. She's Madam Web now. We're talking about the final kind of montage
mhm,
where she dons the classic Madam Web glasses and the look
and
and the
wheelchair.
wheelchair, and she displays some of her powers. She goes like, "You're about to sneeze, bless you," and then she's like, "I didn't sneeze yet, achoo!" And then they're like, "What do you see for our future?" And she's like, she gives this
You
stupid
guys are gonna
little
be
monologue.
great people who
Yeah.
always help others in need.
Oh, did you
And we see
notice?
the Spider Woman.
Yeah.
So
Did you notice this? They reuse footage, the
yeah,
same shot.
yeah, no, it ends on the same shot that his dream sequence
Yeah.
ends on.
And that shot where I don't know if you remember, it's like a crazy shot where it's panning up that building is literally from Spider-Man 2 or one of the Raimi movies. Yeah.
Bruh,
So reuse footage
from an old movie.
and then stitch together that earlier shot of the Spider-Woman and then
Mhm.
her in her final form. And it's like they're like, "We'll be ready for what's to come."
Dude, I just remembered this. There was this like TikTok ad of Sydney Sweeney talking about her character.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, like in the comics, like she does a lot of like hanging from the ceiling. It's like I really want her to do that in the movie. And she does do that in the movie. But I just realized like how misleading that was.
Yeah,
'Cause she
exactly.
literally does that for like 3 seconds.
It's not in the movie. It's like it's a flat it happens in the movie, but it's just
Like
a
a
dream
dream
sequence.
sequence.
Like it's not gonna happen in this movie. Scam.
Okay, I'm seeing the scam
Dude,
a bit more
scam
now.
and just like literal troll. But you know what? I'm at a point now with superhero movies that I just don't care. I think it's hilarious and I was having the time of my life both times when I saw this movie.
I would rather take this than any of the other just generic like MCU,
Ooh,
like whatever they're shitting out for like phase 8 or whatever they're on. Like, I don't know.
burn.
It's not even a burn. Like it's just like they're just shitting shit out. And this movie, like
Shooting the shit out.
they are shitting this one out too, but like it's got that I don't know, it's got that personality, it's got that sauce, you know?
You heard it here, folks. Madam Web has got the sauce.
Dude, you could show
Um,
this movie to anyone, I feel like they'd have a good time with it. No
yeah,
matter how good or bad they think it
for
is.
varying reasons, which
Yeah,
is what makes it such a gem. What Sony verse movies have you seen?
Venom and this one.
Nice.
But
Well,
I saw Venom when I was way young, so I mean, I don't remember enjoying it at all. But yeah.
okay. Well, we should probably wrap up this discussion.
Mhm.
I loved it. Before we give ratings, I actually have a surprise for you.
Oh, what's that?
We are gonna play a quick little game.
Okay.
This post was like popular. It was trending around the time this movie was coming out.
Mhm.
It's gonna be like a trivia game,
Okay.
really quick.
Okay.
Here we go. All of these events happen in Madam Web except one. Can you guess which is the lie?
Okay.
Madam Web is born in a cave in Peru with the help of magic spider people.
Okay.
The three Spider Women never get powers and are only seen in costumes during dream sequences.
Mhm.
Evil Spider Man is killed by a large Pepsi sign.
Uh-huh.
Madam Web becomes wanted for kidnapping by the NYPD. Madam Web runs down evil Spider Man in her car twice.
Mhm.
Peter Parker is born but not named.
Uh-huh.
And Madam Web is inexplicably split into three ghost like copies of herself near the end of the movie.
Wait, one of them's a lie?
Yeah, one of them's a lie.
Wait. Wait, let me see. Let me
You want
see.
to see?
Yeah. Wait, does it have the answer?
You can just take a look.
Wait, one of them's a lie?
Just look at the options only. Don't look
Uh-huh.
at anything else. This is great, guys.
Did these not happen?
Huh?
This all happened. Wait.
Oh, you're correct.
Oh,
So in the corner of the image, you can see I'm kidding. They all happen. So yeah,
bruh.
the game is all of those things sound ridiculous, but they all happen.
Okay.
Fantastic. I'm so
I know my Madam Web. You can't even try to play that game with me.
you were too smart for the
I'm
game.
too smart. I was too invested in Madam Web to miss a single thing.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give ratings.
All right.
Go ahead.
I give this movie like a solid like 5 out of 10.
Nice.
Okay, more like a high like 4 out of 10 to like a low 5 out of 10, I would say.
Nice. And I will give this movie a 2 out of 10, 1 star, but with a heart, because I
Okay.
really like this movie and I'll watch it.
Flaws and all. We love
Flaws
this
and
movie.
all. I will watch it many more times and enjoy it
Will
all the same.
forever be a classic.
Her web connects
Them all?
us.
Us, yeah. Us and liking this movie.
Yeah, we love this
Okay.
movie. So yeah, that was our large discussion for Madam Web, and we're gonna have a lot more of these kind of discussions in the future. I thought we just started off with a kind of funny movie one.
Yeah.
We'll talk about films, hopefully some music albums, and I don't know, whatever else is happening at the time.
Whatever else is popping.
What's
Yeah.
popping, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brand new whip just hopping.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I think we should end this off.
That's
This was
episode
a
1.
Great first episode, I think. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
hope. Hopefully in the future we'll be a little more prepared, but we kind of just wanted to have an unfiltered first episode, just kind of get the groove of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, we're both new to this.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to shout out, plug? Because apparently there is, Joshua.
Nah, it's fine. It doesn't fit here. So
What do you mean?
It's fine. I'll plug it some other time when it fits. It's gotta come naturally. I can't just seem like an asshole.
Great.
Episode 1, that's it.
No. Hold up. Check us out. Check out our Instagram, wannabe.artist.podcast.
Follow us.
Yes, we'll be on YouTube and Spotify. And check us out both on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah.
Follow me, Justin M. Choi. Do you want to do your handle?
Joshua69.
Joshua69, folks. All right. Well, thank you for listening, whoever's out there.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
we'll see you next time.
Get Madam Webbed.
Bye.